Nathan, thank you so much for joining us here at the PLSA Investment Conference.
Pleasure to be here, thank you.
You have a wealth of insight having worked in the US Treasury. Tell me what your insights are in terms of what's happening in terms of global trade at the moment and trade wars.
I think the reality is that trade is under assault for a number of different reasons. Some of them are macroeconomic. The global economy just isn't growing as quickly, and there's not as much investment as there was. I think another aspect is countries are increasingly skeptical of multilateral solutions like WTO. And then a third one is, I think in many countries, the public is increasingly asking questions about the benefits of free trade and globalization. And I think that's giving rise to trade wars, splintering of trade alliances like what's happening with Brexit.
So there's actually a fragmentation of those global structures at the moment.
Yes. So 15 years ago, we would have talked about the WTO, which is a multilateral approach to trade, as being the principal driver of global trading relationships. Over the last 15 years, that's definitely moved to more kind of regional kinds of relationships, like the European Union. The United States was negotiating TPP with the Pacific countries. And now I fear that it may be splintering further, maybe to just bilateral relationships, or maybe to no trading, formalized trading relationships at all.
And do you think what's also causing this to come about more is a sort of rise in populism in the West particularly, and then, as you said, the public being more skeptical too?
Yes, I really do believe that this is a reflection of concerns amongst the public about whether trade and globalization have delivered on the benefits that they promised. And I think it's incumbent upon those folks who have advocated those policies of trade and globalization to take steps to better explain, but more importantly, to address for example, the rising inequality that we see in many Western democratic societies.
Indeed, you've mentioned it before, but you said one of the catalysts to this is that wealth gap as well.
Yes, that I think that is a increasing reality, certainly in the United States, to a lesser extent in other countries, but it's still notable. And we need to think hard. I don't think economists or policymakers know the answer to this question of what should we do to share the benefits of growth in trade more fairly and equitably throughout our society. I don't think we know the answer to that as an intellectual matter, let alone taking appropriate steps to address it in our policies.
And if things are being disrupted like this, do you think there's the possibility of new alliances, things that traditionally we haven't seen in the past?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. I'm not sure exactly what those might look like. But one concern I have is if we're in a world where the United States and maybe some of the other advanced economies are pulling away from multilateral structures and leadership, then that fills the space for other countries to come in and exert that kind of leadership. And China's growth and development model has been dramatically different than that pursued in the West. And I think if they're out in front, that might be a different kind of global economy than if the United States and Europe are in the lead.
With all of that in mind and the hugely complex geopolitical landscape that we're in at the moment, how does an industry like this, that's a long-term savings industry, begin to even navigate it?
Well, I think the good news for this industry is global aging is likely to mean increased saving over the near term. And then over the longer run, I think that these savers, as they move into retirement, are going to be looking for safe ways to invest their resources. So I think it's an opportunity for this industry to provide the products that will help buffer this next generation as they go through retirement. Now, how they do that and hedge the risks associated with this splintering that I've described, I think is the challenge.
But you
and
do,
I think we're all trying to figure it out.
but you do believe the opportunity is there?
I think there's an enormous opportunity for the asset management industry.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Great to talk to you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
a pleasure.